Hello everyone and welcome to Game 2 in the series between Mana and Polt. Game 2 taking place here on Antigua Shipyard. Interestingly enough, there are gold mineral patches here. So most of the tournament maps did force these to be blue minerals as opposed to the gold ones. We'll see if this even comes in as a factor, as this is part of patch 142 and mules are able to mine from there much more effectively. We'll see what's going to go down in this matchup as Mana spawning as the green Protoss at the 8 o'clock position. Meanwhile, Polt spawning at the 3 o'clock position as the blue Terran. Terran versus Protoss cross spawns here on Antigua Shipyard, and I really like Antigua Shipyard in the current BattleNet ladder map pool, as there hasn't been really that many complaints about it. It's become one of the staple maps that even the tournament community has embraced and received very well. Tosh now scouting into the 11 o'clock position. This is not going to be forced cross spawn, so the players will not find each other all too quickly. And based upon the positionings and the scouting and the timing, Polt may be able to train up a Marine and keep that probe from really doing any serious scouting whatsoever. We'll see what's going to happen here. No, it looks like that probe will be able to get in. It looks like that probe scouted right after the pylon as opposed to after the gateway. It is going to hurt Mana's economy just a little bit. But in the same way, though, the timing on this was that if he did scout after the gateway, he most likely would not have been able to get inside the space, as the Marine would already be ready. The probe now coming up that ramp. It looks like the barracks is still about 15 seconds away from being completed. Marines another 25 seconds after that. So Mana going to be able to get so much scouting information. Now back in the base of Mana opening up, he does have his assimilator, and in game 1 he went for an aggressive 1 gate fast expand. Now Polt's counter to that was a 2 racks build, and it looks as though Tosh is going to scout this out. This is huge. What Polt's going to do is he's going to add on a reactor here and then eventually add on a tech lab. He knows that there's perhaps no really early aggression coming in, and now Mana may be trying to go for that 1 gate expand once more. He does have the advantage knowing that his opponent doesn't quite know where he is just quite yet. You can take a look at the mini map of Polt. Polt hasn't scouted out very much of anything, and a cybernetics core, if it does chrono boost out that stalker, should be able to destroy that SCV before he really sees the number of assimilators down. And that is going to be a huge advantage, as Polt is going to be having to charge up double ramps in order to deal any damage here. It would make sense that Mana tries to expand since there is a ramp naturally here. Stalker now going to engage and chase after that SCV. Oh no, letting it walk by. Polt will see the double assimilator, and that is going to be huge critical information. And Mana now attempting to walk out. No, finds the SCV inside again and going to take it out. Oh, a little bit of a dance in the smoke, but he does get shot down there. Sentries now being added, but this is going to be a little bit more difficult as Tosh now going into a gateway build. So even though what the information Polt has had up to this point in the stage looks like it's exactly the same build as we saw in game 1, Mana is going to have a much larger army if Polt decides to engage. Now, Polt should be moving out with perhaps 2 Marauders, 3 Marauders, and Marines, getting that concussive shell down. But if he gets overly aggressive and perhaps pushes too far up this ramp, this choke point here, he's going to end up splitting his army in half, and the stalkers and the sentries may be able to finish it off, especially if those sentries use Guardian Shield. Command center should be placed down momentarily. Polt having a 5 food advantage at this point, but 2 additional gateways will quickly change that, as now a Nexus does come in. I like this play. I like the fact that Mana is using map control to dictate whether or not he placed down that Nexus. He saw that no units were coming in. He does see Marines now come in now, so he's going to really upgrade all of these gateways into warp gates. He needs to warp in a lot more units down here. Yes, it is going to be a nice round of sentries. He should be able to do exactly that again. Another group of sentries, and with what 2, 3, 4 force fields, be able to completely block the ramp. The stalker is now in full retreat. Robotics facility coming into play. And now, are we going to get another round of warp-in? Yes, another sentry should be added here. A Zealot, a Marine going to try to charge up that ramp. And what will we have? A Zealot now in the front position. More Marine now able to run all the way back, as the Zealots should perhaps not try to engage. The Zealot taking a bit of damage, but no, the Zealot still alive at 57 hit points. Both sides are even. You can see Polt obviously expanding now. Polt knows that he is not going to be successful with this aggression, especially with this ramp here. So this ramp really dictated whether or not he wanted to engage, and now Polt deciding to retreat. Now, if Mana can get the information and know that his opponent is not going to be attacking him anytime too quickly, he should be able to tech up perhaps in the Colossi, as he already has the robotics facility, just needs the robotics bay in order to get that splash damage across multiple Marines and Marauders. We can see that the starport is already being built, but at this point, Polt needs to decide whether he would want Vikings or if he would want Medivacs. Vikings to obviously counter the Colossi, which will be coming in, or the Medivacs to heal the Marines and the Marauders. So this is one of those situations where a lot of Terran players would normally want double starports, as he wants to be able to use stim freely and also be able to take down those Colossi. Orbital command about to be finished. You can see that there's one Marine holding the Zelnaga tower. Observer now making its way inside, as an engineering bay being constructed will allow for level 1 weapons upgrade in just a second. A bunker up on the high ground, and Polt now needs to figure out what his long-term strategy is. Mana now transferring additional probes off over to the assimilator. He will be able to train up 1 Colossi a minute and still get in plenty of Stalkers behind this. As you see, he is chrono boosting out a Colossus, but he has yet to start the extended thermal lance range. A little bit of a curious measure here, as he just starts it now. There is 1 pylon coming in from Mana to block the 3rd base. Now Polt just sitting on a bunch of harvesters, 35 versus 44, but Mana looks to be in a very nice position, keeping track of a lot of what's going on, and Polt now sitting inside his base, not wanting to break out. We're going to see perhaps 4 to 6 Medivacs trained, and then most likely we will see a transition into Vikings. If he knows about the robotics bay, no, he does not yet. He has not scanner sweeped it in order to gain that crucial information, as the Marines and the Marauders pass through. Stalker getting the early memo, knows that he needs to leave. 1 Marauder stims his way in, doesn't find that Stalker, as an observer now trying to keep track of this army. Marines and Marauders look like they are ready to go, and Colossus is about to come out. Extended thermal lance range still needs a little bit more time. Currently there are there's only 1 Colossus in play, so it will be for a total of 2, as 1 Colossus is a bit scary here, and we'll see how this is all going to work. Here we go. Here's the engagement. There's some force fields. Marauders and Marines trying to push their way in, but another sweep of Marines getting taken out. Zealots now stuck, as 1 Colossus getting over eager and pushes out past all of those force fields. Zealots now regenerating those shields. We'll see what will be happening. 1 probe now just patrolling far off here, making sure that no units or no Medivacs perhaps fly overhead. An observer would do a much better job, as now we see Mana parking an observer to make sure there is no elevator dropping coming in. Now, at this stage, 3rd bases are within the realm of possibility. Engineering bay about to finish 1-0 upgrades. We can see that we're running off of 3 barracks now. 3 barracks. Vikings are being added to the group. 5 barracks. More barracks holding off over here, and double training those Vikings still. Nexus now warping in here at the 7 o'clock position. Colossi, sentries, and stalkers about to try to take that middle ground. The Marine getting a very good stimming head start, able to regroup with the rest of his army, as now an observer is been taken out by a very nice scanner sweep by Polt. With the center pylon here, Tosh is gonna try to run off of 3 bases while defending this crucial area here on the minimap, and also defending against these destructible rocks. There are Vikings in play, but 4 Vikings really not enough. 6 Vikings is getting into the nice amount in order to take down all of those Colossi. Guardian shields, though, will be able to absorb much of the damage in addition to the Protoss armor upgrades. So those Vikings, instead of dealing their normal 28 damage, will only be dealing 20 damage per attack when attacking the hit points of a Colossus. Marines and Marauders now being added. The factory is still high in the air. Templar Archives has just been completed. Perhaps we will be going into chrono boosting out some high Templars, perhaps into Archons. Yes, it is going to be an Archon. So an Archon being added into the mix in order to deal more damage too. We now see Medivacs looking to drop. Perhaps it will be in the fog of war. And yes, this is a problem for Mana. Mana does not see what's happening here. He's going to try to warp in some additional pylons, only to see them all get attacked and destroyed. And now Tosh losing a lot of resources. Polt getting in a very nice attack. 1 photon cannon has been taken out. The units are retreating. The Colossi trying to make their way back over there and trying to use this stair-stepping location. Archon in this group as well. What is going to happen as the Colossi now going after all of those Marines and those Marauders? The Colossi, 1 does get taken out. Meanwhile, another battle over here. The Vikings nowhere near, but now in a little bit of a pincer attack as Mana perhaps has better positioning. The Marines and the Marauders off over here trying to finish off a Stalker. Zealots are not engaging though. Now we see Stalkers still battling up against Marauders. Polt just really out of position as this one Colossus looks like it may get taken down, and the Marauder able to finish it off. With the Marauders and the Vikings have all been destroyed, as now we can still see more and more units getting taken down. No blink, but able to focus on another medevac. Marauders once again re-engaging. Zealots want to push forth, but during this time Tosh has been mining from additional bases with more probes, with more workers, and he should be able to get and spend a lot more of his resources, as he will be able to warp in off of 6 gateways and now getting into a forge for double upgrades. Level 2 armor upgrades now being added. Archons being warped in. Marines are upgraded. 1-1 armory now being constructed. 2nd engineering bay being added as well, but Polt is going to be behind on upgrades, as we now see the Zealots getting their level 2 upgrades. Excuse me, turn that around. Mana is behind on upgrades with a total of 1 versus Polt's 2 with a 3rd on the way, or 4th, but now we see also Mana getting a 1 with 2 on the way versus 2 with none on the way until that armory has been completed. Harvester count 70 probes versus 60 SCVs and 4 mules. 1 proxy pylon off over here, still not doing very much of anything. Vikings still being added into this group, and there are still Colossi being trained, so those Vikings will be beneficial still. Marauders, Marines, Vikings on the move. We can see a medevac looking to do a drop, but it will be spotted by Mana's proxy pylon off to the north. Will units be warping in down over here? Yes, some Zealots already in position, and those Zealots, perhaps some Stalkers could be warped in as well. Stalkers are now making their way over. Only 2 rounds of warping are going to be completed, as now we have a 2-pronged attack. Marines and Marauders at the 3rd, a drop now at the 2nd. Photon cannon being added here. Is it going to be enough? Yes, it is going to be enough to deter this attack. And Polt, who was trying to go for this attack, decides against the push, knowing that the armies are nearby. So far, Mana doing a good job holding his own. Psystorm has been completed. Blink now being researched. Zealots making their way out across, and now in come the Zealots with charging after all those Marauders. The Marauders, could have been taken down. The units now coming back around as the High Templars are in the front of that army. Perhaps a nice Psystorm, but that Psystorm pretty much misses its target there. High Templars now continuing to push forward here. Medevacs in a bit of trouble. Feedback onto a couple of those Medevacs. The Zealots are upgraded, or do have a total of 3 upgrades against only the 2 upgrades of Polt. So Polt now losing a little bit here as the Vikings Psystorm now just ripping through this army. More Psystorm ripping through, and Polt has really nowhere to attack. These Archons are now merging in the middle of the battlefield. Archons dealing so much damage. 39 damage to this massive bio army here, and more attacks now coming in. Marauders and Marines coming in from behind, but the Archon with 350 hit points able to absorb a lot of damage, especially as they are not armored units. The Marauders still attempting to run away, but they will get stuck as the Stalkers, able to almost finish off another medevac here. Stalkers able to blink back though, as Mana now taking a 60 food advantage. Zealots now being added, and we'll see what these Marines are able to do. It doesn't look like they will be able to do very much. Mana having a very large army now, attempting to take that 4th base. Marines, Stalkers going to engage, and here we go. An Archon in the front, trying to fight back. It does attack relatively slowly, but there's the Psy Storm needed to rip through this army here. An Archon now being merged in the middle of the battle, as Polt losing much of the food, and there is the GG. So Polt losing game 2 in this series to Mana, a world-class European StarCraft 2 player playing Protoss, and perhaps Polt, not playing against that many Protoss players since it isn't played heavily in Korea, wasn't expecting such a strong tech switch. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. That's tech switch from Colossi to High Templars, being able to get off critical Psy Storms, being able to land them well, and then merge Archons, effective anti-bio units in the middle of the battlefield, really tipped it in favor of Mana. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned for Game 3.